So Kenny Rodriguez made a promise that was bigger than his ego and more empty than his apology. And what happened next will tell you everything you need to know about guilty men who think they're smarter than they actually are. This man really said, "Story time with full receipts coming Monday," like he was about to drop the documentary of the century, but then disappeared faster than my motivation on a Monday morning. And when you find out what Janae was saying about certain people giving her vibes that would make your skin crawl, plus what the PPG girls discuss in their group chat that's apparently so savage it would end careers, you'll understand why Kenny's silence is actually the most honest thing he's done this entire time. But first, let me tell you about the anniversary dinner where Kenny basically told Janae he wanted a separation from her on the day they were supposed to be celebrating their love. Because apparently this man's idea of romance is emotional with a side of gaslighting. Let me paint this picture for you. After Kenny got absolutely dragged across every social media platform for allegedly being a racist manipulator, this man posted on his secret Instagram account, "Story time with full receipts coming Monday. Subscribe to be notified," along with a link to a YouTube channel. Monday came and went like Kenny's credibility. Tuesday passed quietly. Wednesday said, "Not today, Satan." And we're still waiting for this mythical video that was supposed to clear his name and expose the, quote, real truth. Now here's what's interesting. When someone promises receipts and then completely disappears, that's not strategic silence. That's, "My lawyers saw what I was about to post and locked me in a room with no Wi-Fi energy." But wait until you hear what Janae revealed in her pre-breakup interview that makes Kenny's silence even more damning. Right before their relationship imploded, Janae gave an interview to Elite Daily that reads like a psychological thriller when you know how this story ends. She said something that should have been a massive red flag. "I always wonder what his life was like before all of this." Girl, you dated this man for over a year and you're still wondering about his past? That's not mysterious and intriguing. That's your subconscious telling you this person is hiding something fundamental about who they are. But here's what really gets me. Janae said the living situation tension had been resolved for months, but then immediately added, "the way I'm about to turn off my comments." Like she was bracing for impact before the storm even hit. And get this, she described their biggest challenge as living in the real world with newfound fame. Not communication, not trust, not compatibility, but dealing with fame. Almost like she sensed that Kenny was more interested in the celebrity aspect than the actual relationship. Now let's talk about the bombshell Janae dropped about the peak group chat. She said, and I quote, "If only you guys knew what we say in that group chat. We would get canceled so quickly." This was said before the breakup, which means Leah, Serena, and Janae were already having some very spicy conversations about the men in their lives. And based on how quickly all three girls unfollowed Kenny after the split, I'm betting they had some serious concerns about his behavior. Think about it. What kind of conversations between three intelligent women would be so savage that they get canceled? Probably the kind where they're calling out men's problematic behavior with zero filter and maximum receipts. The fact that they felt safe enough to be completely unfiltered with each other suggests they were seeing things about Kenny that didn't make it to social media. And honestly, I need to be in that group chat because the level of analysis must be absolutely elite. Let's break down the anniversary dinner footage, because watching Kenny's behavior, knowing what we know now, is like watching a horror movie where you can see the killer in the background. During what was supposed to be a romantic celebration, Kenny told Janae he voiced to Miguel that "I wanted separation from you." Sir, this is your anniversary, the day you're supposed to celebrate your love, and you're telling your girlfriend you want separation from her? The audacity is more shocking than a plot twist in a telenovela. But here's what's really disturbing. When Janae got upset about him lying to their friends about her feelings, Kenny's response was to go completely silent. Like his vocal cords decided to file for unemployment right when accountability showed up to work. Janae said in the episode,
"Whenever he gets upset, he gets very, very quiet first."
That's not someone processing emotions. That's someone calculating their next manipulation move. So why did Kenny promise YouTube receipts and then vanish like a magician's assistant? Let me break down the most likely scenarios, and spoiler alert, none of them make him look good. Option 1. His management team saw what he was planning to post and said, "Absolutely not. We're not representing someone who digs their own grave on YouTube." Option 2. His lawyers realized that whatever receipts he had would actually incriminate him further. Option 3. He realized his evidence was weaker than gas station Wi-Fi and decided silence was safer than embarrassment. But here's what's really telling. If Kenny actually had proof that contradicted the allegations against him, nothing would have stopped him from posting it. When someone's entire reputation and career are on the line, and they have legitimate evidence to clear their name, they don't just disappear. The fact that he hyped up a whole expose and then ghosted his own promise tells us everything about how solid his defense actually is. Kenny's silent treatment during conflicts isn't just annoying. It's a calculated manipulation tactic. When Janae brought up legitimate concerns about him lying to their friends, instead of addressing the issue, he just shut down completely. This forces the other person to either drop the subject or chase after him for a response. It's emotional stonewalling, designed to avoid accountability while making the other person feel like they're being dramatic for wanting basic communication. And here's what's really sick about this pattern. By consistently refusing to engage with Janae's concerns, he was training her not to bring up issues because she knew she'd just be met with this frustrating wall of silence. No wonder Janae's intuition was picking up on predatory vibes. When someone's primary conflict resolution strategy is to emotionally disappear, your subconscious starts wondering what they're really thinking behind that silence. Let's talk about the psychological damage of telling someone you want separation from them during your anniversary dinner. Kenny said he voiced to Miguel that I wanted separation from you like he was discussing the weather, instead of basically saying he didn't want to be around his girlfriend. But wait, it gets worse. When Janae corrected him about lying to their friends about her feelings, instead of apologizing or explaining, he just went silent and ended the date on their anniversary. After dropping an emotional bomb, Janae said, I promise we would have more problems if we lived together, which sounds like someone trying to convince themselves that their partner's rejection is actually a good thing. The mental gymnastics required to make that make sense must have been exhausting. And the fact that a producer had to ask Janae what was wrong with Kenny shows that even the camera crew could see something was off about his behavior. Going back to Janae's pre-breakup interview, there are so many red flags hidden in plain sight. She said Kenny's biggest adjustment was, quote, living in the real world with newfound fame, and added, I always wonder what his life was like before all of this. Translation, this man was so focused on his new celebrity status that she felt disconnected from who he actually was as a person. She was dating Kenny the influencer, not Kenny the human being. She also mentioned that the tension about their living situation, quote, had been resolved for months, but then said she wasn't looking forward to online discourse about it. Why would resolved tension create anxiety about public reaction unless she knew something messy was coming? It's like she sensed the storm before it hit, but couldn't identify exactly where the danger was coming from. The fact that Janae said the PPG group chat discussions would get them canceled tells us these women were having some seriously unfiltered conversations about relationships and red flags. And honestly, we need more friend groups like this. Think about the level of analysis that must happen in that chat. 3 intelligent women who've all experienced reality TV relationships, sharing observations about their partner's behavior with zero filter. That's basically a masterclass in spotting manipulation tactics. The fact that all 3 of them immediately unfollowed Kenny after the breakup suggests their group chat concerns were validated in the most dramatic way possible. They probably weren't surprised by the allegations at all. They were just waiting for Janae to see what they were seeing. And honestly, every woman needs friends who will call out problematic behavior even when you're not ready to hear it. Kenny's decision to promise receipts and then completely disappear is actually the most honest thing he's done throughout this entire situation. His silence is a confession that he doesn't have a legitimate defense for his alleged behavior. Think about it. If someone accused you of racism and manipulation, and you had clear evidence to disprove those claims, would you promise to share that evidence and then just not? Of course not. You'd be posting screenshots, voice messages, and whatever else you had within hours. The fact that Kenny hyped up his YouTube response and then vanished suggests that either his evidence was non-existent or it would actually make him look worse. Neither option is a good look. His silence isn't strategic. It's the sound of someone who got caught and realized that anything they say will only dig the hole deeper. Watching the anniversary dinner footage with fresh eyes, you can see Janae trying so hard to make excuses for Kenny's behavior. When he tells her he wants separation, she immediately tries to reframe it as something positive. But her body language tells a different story. You can see the moment when his words hit her, the confusion, the hurt, the desperate attempt to make it make sense. She's literally trying to convince herself that her boyfriend not wanting to live with her is actually a good thing. And Kenny? He's sitting there looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. This man was celebrating their anniversary with the energy of someone attending a mandatory work meeting. The disconnect between what he was saying and what his body language was communicating was jarring. No wonder Janae was getting those sinister vibes. When someone's words say one thing, but their energy says something completely different, your intuition starts sounding alarm bells. I'm obsessed with the idea of the PPG group chat because you know these women were dropping truth bombs left and right. They said they would get canceled so quickly if people knew what they discussed, which means they were probably calling out every problematic behavior pattern they witnessed. Imagine the level of tea. Girl, did you see how he deflected when you brought up moving in together? The way he goes silent during every serious conversation is giving emotional manipulation. Something about his energy feels off and I can't put my finger on it. These women were probably doing the emotional labor of a whole therapy session in that group chat, processing red flags and supporting each other through relationship challenges. And honestly, that's what real friendship looks like. The fact that they all immediately chose Janae's side after the breakup suggests their group chat concerns were completely validated by whatever she discovered on Kenny's phone. Kenny's pattern of promising accountability and then vanishing is actually a classic manipulation tactic. By making grand promises about telling his side of the story, he gets to control the narrative temporarily, while buying himself time to figure out damage control. But here's what he didn't count on. The longer he stays silent, the more guilty he looks. Every day that passes without his promised YouTube video is another day of people assuming he doesn't have a legitimate defense. It's like promising to show your receipts and then claiming your dog ate your homework. At some point, the excuses become more damaging than just admitting you don't have what you claimed to have. And honestly, his silence is probably the best possible outcome for Janae because it means he's not out here trying to gaslight the entire internet with his version of events. Let's really unpack what happened during that anniversary dinner because the psychological manipulation on display is genuinely disturbing. Kenny chose their romantic celebration to tell Janae he wanted separation from her. Then, when she got upset, he made her feel bad for having an emotional reaction. This is textbook manipulation. Drop an emotional bomb, then make the other person feel crazy for being hurt by it. Janae even said she felt humiliated and embarrassed by his rejection, but then tried to blame herself for jumping the gun. The fact that he lied to their mutual friends about her feelings on the situation shows he was already trying to control the narrative before she even knew there was a problem. That's not someone who respects their partner, that's someone who sees their partner as a problem to be managed. And the cherry on top, when she called him out for lying, he just went silent and ended the date. Happy anniversary, I guess? The reason Leah and Serena immediately unfollowed Kenny and supported Janae isn't just friendship loyalty. It's because they were already seeing red flags that their group chat was probably dissecting in real time. These women lived with Kenny for weeks in the Love Island villa. They saw how he interacted with Janae when the cameras weren't focused on them. They witnessed his communication patterns, his conflict resolution style, and his general energy around their friend. The fact that they weren't surprised by the allegations suggests they had their own concerns about his character long before the phone discovery happened. They were probably relieved that Janae finally saw what they were seeing. And honestly, that's what real friends do. They see through the performance and protect their people from manipulative behavior, even when it's uncomfortable. Kenny's Promise YouTube video has become the reality TV equivalent of a unicorn. Mythical, heavily anticipated, and completely non-existent. The fact that he created so much hype around clearing his name and then just didn't tells us everything about how confident he actually is in his defense. If Kenny had legitimate receipts that contradicted the allegations against him, nothing would have stopped him from sharing them. Not management, not lawyers, not public relations concerns, nothing. When your entire reputation is on the line and you have proof of your innocence, you use it. The fact that he's been radio silent since promising accountability suggests that his receipts were either non-existent or would actually make him look worse. Either way, his credibility is shot. At this point, Kenny's silence is more damaging to his reputation than anything he could have said in that video. Sometimes, the loudest confession is the one that never gets made. Looking back at everything, the anniversary dinner discomfort, the elite daily interview concerns, the group chat discussions that would quote-unquote get them canceled, Janae's intuition was working overtime to protect her from someone who allegedly saw her as disposable. Her subconscious was processing Kenny's emotional unavailability, his manipulation tactics, and his general lack of genuine connection, and correctly identifying him as a threat to her well-being. The fact that she felt comfortable expressing these concerns to her friends shows incredible self-awareness. And honestly, every woman who's ever had bad vibes about someone should take note of Janae's story. Sometimes your intuition is literally trying to save you from someone who doesn't see you as fully human. The fact that her gut feelings were proven right by subsequent events is the ultimate validation of women's intuition. She sensed danger months before she had concrete evidence, and she was absolutely correct. As we wrap this up, let's give credit where it's due. Janae's intuition, her friend's support system, and Kenny's own silence have all worked together to reveal the truth about this situation. His promised YouTube video never materialized, because the truth isn't something he can spin or manipulate. The anniversary dinner footage, the elite daily interview red flags, and the group chat revelations all paint a picture of someone whose gut was screaming warnings long before her conscious mind caught up. And honestly, that's exactly how intuition is supposed to work. Kenny's silence after promising accountability is the loudest confession we could ask for. When someone hypes up their defense and then completely disappears, they're essentially admitting they don't have one. Justice for Janae's intuition. Justice for the P group chat analysis, and justice for every woman who's ever trusted their gut about someone who turned out to be exactly as problematic as they suspected. The tea has been spilled, the silence has spoken volumes, and Kenny Rodriguez has told us everything we need to know about his character without saying a word. What do y'all think about Kenny's vanishing act after promising receipts? Because honestly, his silence is more revealing than any YouTube video could have been.